a former legislator that worked on the rewrite of Chapter 30 that created the BOAF Fund, the Broadband Outreach and Aggregation Fund. I was knee-deep in that joyful rewrite of hundreds of pages of Bell Telephone breakup. But in that fund, there was a goal to help rural communities, suburban communities, and cities find strategies to increase broadband investment in their communities. There's been dozens and dozens of BOAF grants, and this one in particular is the last one. The program closes down and sunsets on June 30th, so we're really excited to be putting this project together in a 6-county region. We started in meetings this week in Bucks County, Montgomery County, Berks County, today here in Lancaster County, and the rest of the week we'll be down in York and Adams County. So it's been a very interesting project. There's so many great companies and organizations and schools doing great things in this 6-county region. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is promote them through our publications. There's some in the back on the table. We've been doing tweets and Twitter things all over the internet. Just excellent things going on. In this work that we've done, there's 2 parts of it. There's the UFD, United Fiber and Data. They're constructing a broadband fiber system, brand new, from New York City through Pennsylvania down to Ashburn, Virginia, where there's many data centers. The other part is a feasibility study that Big Wireless started, and they hired Lewis Strategic and Delaker Strategies to conduct. And in that, we're trying to figure out ways to optimize this fiber line coming through 6 counties to try and figure out the best place to put an off-ramp for this fiber and find community leaders, companies, schools that are interested in maximizing this opportunity for them to jump on a brand new fiber network. It's been a very fascinating journey. Today from John, you're going to hear some of the cost structures on what's happening around the United States for gigabit broadband, where a growing list of American cities now offer gigabit connections for 7 cents a megabit per second. And you'll learn what the average price is in Pennsylvania, and you'll learn what some large organizations in Pennsylvania are paying for gigabit connections. And it's not 7 cents. It's much, much higher. So to get started, Heather from United Fiber and Data is giving us a great update on where they are in their project and where they're coming through on Pennsylvania. Heather.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Welcome to our announcement meeting for the Gigabit Revolution. I'm really happy that you all came out today. I'm going to share with you some of our survey findings, some updates on the line build, and some next steps for progressing the Gigabit Revolution. So as part of our study, our feasibility study, we conducted a survey of about 100 respondents in each of the 6 counties that we did this study on. So I'm going to share a few notable results with you. Of the 600 respondents, we found that 60% of them had no knowledge of what gigabit per second internet actually is. In addition, they didn't know what benefits could be found with having gigabit per second internet. And when we were here in January, we went over all of those benefits with you, and we found even more. So that's over half of the people that we surveyed that don't know what gigabit per second internet. So what this tells us is that we have a ways to go with our digital inclusion and bridging the digital divide. Out of the 600 respondents, we found that 87% of people have access to the internet in these 6 communities. That sounds like a great number, but it's actually lower than the national average, which is 89%. So that still leaves 13% of people in these communities that do not have access to the internet. It doesn't sound high, but it really is. If you think of the way that we all use the internet today, it is a human right, and we don't have it in 13% of these people. This is a map of the current gigabit cities in the United States. We just marked 2 notable ones because if we had marked them all, it would have been too small. But if you can see, there's none on the eastern seaboard. So we would really like to make the first 6 in Pennsylvania, or it would be the second ones. There's even one in Alaska. So as next steps, I would like to encourage you to read the call to action handout that we had handed out when we first came in. If you didn't get it, please get it from the back. Bernadette has copies for you. On that call to action, we have all of the resources in your community that you can contact. Please keep engaging people, keep passing around the social media. If anyone doesn't know, let them know. And now I'll update you a little bit on the UFD build. In February, UFD crossed the Hudson River and brought our fiber into New Jersey. That was a huge milestone for our company. Currently, we have active engineering crews in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Virginia. And we are looking to be finished with the line by the beginning of the 4th quarter of 2016. And now I will turn it over to John. Did I run that through?
Thank you, Heather. And I wanted to set the stage quick for John. John works for Big Wireless. They do design work for the broadband industry around the United States. They've done a feasibility study on the cost survey. They've done detailed engineering studies for every organization that requested a technology action plan. We have done 200. We thought we were going to do about 50. But the demand was very strong. We've done over 200 technology action plans. If your organization did not get one, contact me. We'll be pleased to talk with you and put one together for you. You'll be able to pick your technology action plan up when you leave in the back through Bernadette. And if you weren't here today, we'll mail it out or we'll send it out to you in the next week. Also in this process, when we got the 200 organizations together, we did a request for proposal, an RFP for broadband services. We've done these now for 12 years. They've been extremely successful around the state. Pennsylvania's a model for the rest of the country in terms of broadband aggregation for K through 12 education. Our intermediate units, and our survey results make it very clear, but our intermediate units have done an outstanding job of lowering the cost per megabit per second to deliver very high speeds to the schools in Pennsylvania, especially in our 6-county region. Roy's here from the IU. They've done a great job here in the Lancaster, Lebanon IU. And we believe that that's going to keep going forward. What we're trying to do is do the aggregation side outside of the K through 12 market with this project. And also develop some other synergies between the broadband providers and a whole bunch of other consortiums that we hope develop through this project. So we put the RFP out in the street on April 4th. So far, over 24 providers have requested the RFP. That's a record number for our projects over the last 12 years. Normally, we get about 10 or 12 providers that are interested in our projects. Normally 5 to 7 respond. So we're expecting a great response. We're expecting some great proposals. These organizations in Pennsylvania, our broadband industry, has invested billions of dollars into our state, hundreds of millions on an annual basis. So they've really got strong networks in each of these counties. So we're excited to see what they're going to put together in terms of solutions. Now I wanted to turn it over to John Dolmich with Big Wireless. He's going to give you an update on his engineering side and some of the price surveys. John.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm going to switch this. Okay, as Kelly said, I'm John Dolmich. I'm actually the president and CIO of Big Wireless, and we were basically tasked with the engineering side of this project. And what we did is we did engineering literally for all 6 communities expanding into the counties that these communities are in, and actually expanding a little bit further because we had some interest from other people like Gettysburg and things like that. So what we did is we started out with, as Kelly said, we had over 200 organizations that requested technology action plans. And what that did was provide us with the foundation for coming up with a buildable network if somebody wanted to reach all these 200 organizations. But we said, why should we really stop there? We have local knowledge of this area. Why don't we look at the other large organizations that we know that didn't request technology action plans, educational facilities, healthcare facilities, major commercial organizations, and we came up with a list of over 500 organizations. It's actually 561. So, as Kelly said, we started out with a goal of 60 technology action plans, which would have been looking at providing connectivity to 60 organizations, and through the project we expanded it to 561. We could have went further than that, but there's an infinite number of organizations that are out there, and we don't know which ones really want this kind of connectivity, but we do know that 500 plus do. And what we did was we said, okay, listen, what's the known that we have? Well, we know where all the poles are, the telephone poles that actually have existing telecommunication lines on them, or they're buildable. So fiber, when you build fiber, anytime it's aerial, it's a lot less expensive than underground. So what we did is we said, we're going to create a route to connect and pass by every one of these 561 organizations. So if you look at all those pink lines there and all those dots, that's all 561 organizations. This isn't a pie-in-the-sky map. If somebody wanted to take this, this is an engineering study. We really don't get anything out of it other than we get to provide these results of a buildable plan to somebody that wants to build this to connect all these organizations. That's the real power of this whole thing. So we came up with 1,200 plus aerial fiber miles for the whole project. Then what we did, and this is tailored towards Lancaster County, we broke it down by county and then down by community. In Lancaster County, there's 74 organizations that we analyzed, and to connect those organizations, it takes approximately 94 aerial fiber miles. And when we say approximate, all of our numbers are relatively approximate, probably plus or minus maybe 5–10%, because we do have GIS data that tells us where the poles are at and things like that. And we actually went out and drove those routes. So we drove 1,200 aerial miles to verify that that structure is in place. So then we took the county areas and actually broke them down into more regional. So when we look at the core county area of Lancaster County, that makes up 60 of those 74 organizations. So that's really a huge part, and that requires 78 aerial fiber miles to connect those. Now you can start seeing the more detailed level of how we're coming down. And what we did in each organization's technology action plan, which we don't have included in these slides because it literally is hundreds and hundreds of maps, is we provided to the organization what pole you need to connect to, the closest one that's going to get you fiber into your organization, your closest upstream and downstream neighbor of where the fiber would be and what those organizations are, and all the organizations that we've identified in a 7-mile radius of an organization that requested a technology action plan. So some pretty detailed studies. The remaining piece, Lancaster is interesting because there's really only 2 core areas. In the northeastern section, there's 14 organizations that require 16 aerial fiber miles to get to. You see some of the difference in the dots. The difference in colors really are the difference between who requested a technology action plan and who we identified that didn't request a technology action plan. It's really just a color coding for us. In the city, well, you know, I got the wrong map in here somehow. But anyway, I apologize. In the city of Lancaster, and I can update the map then, but there's 21 organizations and 30 aerial fiber miles to connect them. Probably the heaviest concentration in the smallest area that we actually have. Now I'm going to get into the cost, which we uncovered some data that we really didn't expect to uncover. And the results that we saw as far as broadband, the cost of broadband in this region, honestly, is absolutely staggering. And I'm going to go through these numbers. But what we did is we took the average, these are industry average costs for aerial fiber. New construction's about $30,000 per mile. And overlash, when an existing telecommunication provider already has facilities on those poles, it's just connecting to, basically attaching to those existing cables. We came up with a cost per organization, which really is taking the fiber miles, dividing it by the number of organizations in that region, and coming up with the total cost to connect those organizations. And this is what's really interesting. So if we look at, we're going to look at the total county area, because Lancaster County is a little bit different than all the rest of the counties that we had, in the fact that most of the other counties, when we looked at it as a county in a whole, it cost more per organization than it did for a certain region. For example, Pottstown had 10 organizations in it, and there was only 6 aerial fiber miles required to connect that. So per organization, it was very, very cheap compared to the total county, which was about twice that because of the number of aerial fiber miles that were required. So when we look at the total county area, on a new construction, it's about $30,000 per organization. In overlash, it's half that, $15,000 per organization. I believe we had 74 organizations. When we multiply that out, it really isn't that much money when you think about it. You know, to basically, it's not just gig. You'd be laying the infrastructure for gig, 10 gig, 100 gig, because fiber's fiber. It doesn't include the electronics to push all that stuff out, which varies by carrier or what you want. But as I told the people in Pottstown, I mean, that was an interesting one because there was 10 organizations and it was 6 aerial fiber miles. It came out to about, I think it was less than $150,000. We have areas in these counties that spend that kind of money on a park. Okay, a park where people go play. But they won't spend that kind of money on building an infrastructure that is absolutely essential for businesses in the area. Absolutely essential. Now I'm going to get into some really staggering stuff. So what we did is we asked all the Technology Action Plan respondents to provide us their current broadband speed and what they're currently paying. This doesn't take into account people that are renegotiating their contracts now, and broadband's always going down. It's always going down in cost. This is what people actually came back with. And I like being an engineer because all I'm showing you is quantitative data. It's not subjective. It's what they told us they were paying and how much they were getting. And what you see here is what we found in Lancaster County. It varies greatly. Now, there are some educational facilities in here that have already been through aggregation projects, and you're going to see them. You see them down here. They're sub 5 per meg. Look at some of these organizations and what they're paying. And these aren't residential users. These are businesses. This business here is paying $25 a meg. 25 bucks. Whereas these educational organizations are paying sub 5. And that's a big difference. But what's really a big difference? This is what's happening on a national basis for gig cities. So sub 5, probably around $4, 7 cents. That's a huge difference. These guys realized that they needed to build infrastructure that is as important as roads to get businesses to come into those areas. We haven't yet. The whole nation's going to go here. It's a fact. So then what we did is we took all the people that gave us their rates and we combined them across all the counties. And I was actually kind of upset because we didn't get that good of a response of asking people from the people that we asked to provide their rates. Because it's interesting. All the major carriers really advertise their residential rates. You can find out what everybody's paying. I mean, Verizon, Comcast, AT&T, everybody advertises it all the time. It's on your web, it's on your TV. They're telling you how much you get and how much you're going to pay. minus all kinds of extras and fees and taxes and stuff like that. For businesses and organizations, the guy next to you doesn't know what you're paying. It's really interesting. And the guy next to you might be paying 10 times less than you. A really interesting actual story is, one is these aren't made up. I mean, so it goes from the highest guys paying up to $35 a meg. This one, I believe, is the 87 cents a meg. And that is a major educational facility. Huge difference in those. But one of the top 5 employers in York County just renegotiated their contract. Just. And at 50 meg, they're paying $30 a meg. 30 bucks a meg. And they're one of the top 5 employers. I'll tell you, they're one of the top 3. And they just renegotiated their contract. So that's really a wild swing. So what we did is we said, what's the average download rate that people are paying? $9.37. Remember the previous slide? In Chattanooga, it's 7 cents. $9.30. This is the average educational rate, which that's people that already basically went through aggregation projects and essentially pulled their resources and got much better rates. Staggering difference between this and this, but it's a more staggering difference between $1.72 and 7 cents. Huge difference. And when we're talking dollars, it's not as staggering, but when we start multiplying it out, this is what, at current rates, if the Lancaster County people that provided their information, if they were buying a gig, this is how much they would spend per year. 300 grand this guy would spend if he got a gig. These guys down here, the lowest is probably 25,000. It's an educational facility. Oh, I do want to go back to here. If this guy was in Chattanooga, right now he's paying about $25,000. He'd be paying $870 a year for a gig. 25,000 versus 870. 300,000 versus $870. I mean, literally, it's broadband discrimination. It actually is. That's what we have in Central PA. So then what we did, I just added this actually, is we took all 561 respondents. All 500. That's only 561. There's thousands of organizations in Central PA. And we said, what happens if they were paying the average $9.72 rate per meg and they bought a gig? Those 561 organizations would spend $63 million a year in broadband. $63 million. So we gave it the benefit of the doubt and we said, okay, well, let's give them the education rate. What happens if they spent the $1.72? $11 million. What happens if they had the Chattanooga rate? $471,000. Those are huge numbers. And that's really the goal of this project. The goal of this project is to get more affordable broadband, which is a requirement. I mean, the cities like Chattanooga and Lafayette, they said, you know what? We used to have to build roads to get businesses to locate along those roads. Now we have to have high-speed broadband because the businesses that are out there, one are global, and it's the cloud. So the cloud is now where all the businesses are, and they said, we really need to provide that infrastructure. The reality is that infrastructure literally is going to be approaching zero. It has to. Nobody says, I'm going to relocate to your county, and I'm going to pay for your roads. You build the roads first, then I'll come to your county. That's what this project is all about, is basically getting some affordable broadband. I know the rates are coming down. Some of these are, coming down as we speak and renegotiating, but this is the quantitative data that we've come up with. So hopefully you found this informative. Honestly, I hope you find it shocking because that's a lot of money. Thank you.
So we were familiar with the education rate. My company, and I used to work for the trade group for the tech industry, Delaker Strategies, we've been doing this for 12 years. We were familiar with aggregation results from the education world. We had no idea when we started this because, like John mentioned, businesses don't freely discuss what they pay for broadband. We had no idea it was going to be this staggering. We thought hospitals were paying lower. They're not. We thought large organizations, the largest ones in these big counties of Pennsylvania, were paying lower per megabit, but they're not. So when we started the Gigabit Revolution, a lot of our first feedback from, I know a lot of CIOs across Pennsylvania. I've been working knee-deep in technology issues for 12 years. But they all told me, Kelly, why are you starting a gigabit revolution? We can buy a gigabit in Pennsylvania right now. I don't get it. And I said, just wait, because you're going to get it. You're going to understand exactly why Pennsylvania needs a gigabit revolution, because it's right there. Our organizations per county are probably paying $30 million in each county more than if they had this low national rate. Not just in Chattanooga. It's now 12 cities where you can buy a gigabit for $100 or less per month. That list is growing. Right now there's 50 regions in America that claim that they have gigabit speeds that they can buy. And 12 of them are under $100 a month. But right now, there's probably 25 regions in the country that are going to offer gigabit speeds by summer. Now, there's one in Mount Pleasant, Westmoreland County. Just went live in the last month or so with gigabit speeds. So now there is a little part of Pennsylvania getting out of the gate. And kudos to them. They've made the investment, they're turning it on. And they're under $100 a month. I think they're $99 a month. It's the cost. How affordable gigabit is going to be the economic strategy for the innovation economy. We're in an innovation economy whether we want to be or not. The rest of the world isn't waiting for Pennsylvania to play catch up. Either Pennsylvania catches up and speeds up, or the rest of the world's going to keep moving along. I mean, imagine 5 years ago thinking that Chattanooga, Tennessee was going to be the game-changing city in America. Anybody here think that was going to happen? Anybody from Chattanooga? But they're a game-changer city right now. How about Lafayette, Louisiana? Anybody know where it is? I don't even know where Lafayette, Louisiana really is. I'd have to look on a map. I've been to New Orleans, but they didn't mention Lafayette to go visit. Monroe, Louisiana is about ready to go gigabit. There's central Kansas is a gigabit region right now. And it's just growing. We'll send you links if you're interested. But what we need here in Lancaster, we need community champions. Lancaster County needs to get a part of this gigabit revolution. You can't deny these results. Even the best organization buying broadband in Lancaster County is 17 times more expensive than 12 American cities. The businesses in Lancaster County, most of them are 1,000% more. There's a great opportunity for this RFP for some companies to come in and change the paradigm pricing in Pennsylvania. It's a great opportunity for organizations that don't have a lot of customers, large customers. We've got them all in this RFP. We've got some of the largest companies, some of the largest healthcare facilities, all the intermediate units are in this RFP. So we're very pleased that you're here. We'll answer questions afterwards. Please pick up your technology action plan on your way out. If you don't have one, please reach out to me. We'd be pleased to get one to you in the next week. We're moving fast. I don't think on October 26th, I was briefed on this project. And I said, I want to be a part of it. I met Heather and Bernadette like a week or so later. And it's been like on fire since November to try and get this thing moving forward, because the rest of the nation isn't waiting. We're going to be back in May for a monthly broadband meeting in Lancaster. We're going to be back in June. We're going to be back in July. Our goal is to grow a sustainable broadband meeting in Lancaster County to light a fire out here to help our innovation economy. I mean, the companies here that are highlighted in that report are unbelievable. Lancaster County hosts globally competitive companies that need affordable broadband so they can compete on a level playing field. And we want to find the people that believe in that message too. So thanks for coming out today. We'll be pleased to talk with you afterwards. Thank you.